Hello and welcome to the Radical Saturday podcast. My name is AJ1770s.
Oh yeah, please forget that. I'm Blazing Blades YT.
And welcome to the season 1 finale. This was supposed to be filmed before I moved to Canada. That would differentiate season 1 from season 2. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So the main difference will be I'm more willing to have different co hosts in season 2 to increase the number of episodes you get. But there's no point in waiting, so let's get on to news from the front. Do you know what wild berries is?
Wild berries?
Yeah.
Um, this kind no, but like the food, yes.
Do you know what Amazon is?
Yes.
Wild berries is
Oh, hold
big.
on.
Did someone join?
Yes.
Who? What? We're in the middle of a podcast.
Hold on. Give me
What?
1 second. It's someone else from the server.
Uh, Turns out we may be getting more surprise co-hosts. Oh no. Where was I? Wild berries is basically Russian Amazon because Amazon doesn't exist in Russia. Except it has no first party stuff. It's exclusively third party. And Ukraine has been drone striking them for quite a while now, to the point where the weapons manufacturers of the Flamingo drone cruise missile thingy, Firepoint, have made a bingo out of Wildberry's distribution centers. Are you still here?
Yeah, yep. So I'm guessing this is the Sorry. This is the bingo card.
Yes, although you'll be able to find a lot of fan-made ones online.
This is the real one, though.
They're all real ones. It just, this is the official one.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But this is part of a wider Ukrainian strategy to go after Russian. Basically, the Russians, at least in Moscow and St. Petersburg, have been pretty isolated from the war, while Ukraine has been through hell. So the theory is if Ukraine brings a little bit of that to Russia, Ukraine can survive hell. Russia hasn't gone through that. And experiencing it may be what finally convinced the Russian people that this special military operation
Isn't
is,
worth it.
yeah, it's bad. Also, they're very close to, never mind. Where is Mitch McConnell? What happened to him?
Who's Mitch McConnell?
Mitch McConnell is a leading Republican senator from Kentucky, I believe. And for 1 or 2 months at this point, he has been semi-MIA. There has been 2 photos released, and some people allegedly had phone interviews. But there's just a lot of mystery involving his current whereabouts.
Interesting.
And he's a pretty influential senator, too. It's not like Joe Schmo from Middle Kansas is missing. This is one of the main Republican senators.
Huh, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah. He was taken from his house on ambulance, and he has had 2 videos released. Or not videos, photos. Albeit at least the first one has had some light AI editing. to make a newspaper he's holding appear from the current day. So people suspect that that might be actually a photo from an older visit. And I haven't heard people talk much about the nearer one. Just mostly bring up the fact that he looks younger than he should in the photos.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And the final story is one that hits a little close to home. Well, not close to home. This is the other side of the country. But there's been a lot of wildfires globally, especially here in Canada. Here's a photo taken of one from BC. There's no houses, I believe, in this photo. Those aren't lights, that's fire.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of that smoke a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fire is absolutely insane.
I, of course, to make it look old-timey, put a filter over all the photos, but as a downside, making this look like a city, it's not a city. This is just raw wilderness.
Wow.
Alright, but let's get to the actual point of the episode now. What is Elbonia? I made a short about this before I swapped to long-form content. But Elbonia is a thought exercise. It can be run several different ways, but I'll basically explain how we're running it. We are the head of military procurement for the tank force of Elbonia, a fictional nation somewhere in Eastern Europe. That's how we're running it. It's an Eastern European non-aligned nation like Yugoslavia. Specifically in the Balkans. And we are the head of tank procurement throughout the ages of Elbonia. I don't know, maybe we're like a vampire or something to live that long. But here's the thing. We need the dictator of Elbonia to like what we give him. But we also need to appease the CIA with our choices. Basically giving them as bad of stuff as possible, or the Elbonian resistance, whatever you want to call it, so they don't kill us. So we have to choose something that seems good on paper so the El Jefe doesn't kill us. And we need something that's actually bad so the resistance doesn't kill us. For example, if we were doing airplanes, the MiG-23 would be a good pick. It is the successor to the very successful MiG-21. It has variable wing geometry, so it can have it out wide when going slow for better control, but can angle it back and go fast, have improved performance. The thing
Like
is,
an off-brand Tomcat.
this thing is only marginally better than a MiG-21 in performance, and the variable wing geometry makes it a horrible nightmare when it comes to maintenance. So that's what we're going through. We'll be alternating between we have a list of categories that we've pre-selected vehicles for. We're going to go back and forth, giving a brief sales pitch for each of our tanks. Then at the end, we'll decide if we live or die. And if we die, who kills us? Alright, so
I think How long ago did I pick these? I don't think I remember any of them. I'll just have to kind of wing it, like I always do.
I remember what all of these are, and I have a complete list at the end, worst case scenario. Speaking of, I should probably actually pull that list up on my phone, just so I don't forget any names and look daft.
I'll probably just wing the presentations.
Alright. But I'm up first with World War I, 1916 to 1918, heavy tank. Behold, the Mark I, the first ever tank. But this ain't any normal Mark 1 FA. You see, this is the Mark 1 flame tank. We replaced
Ooh.
the machine guns with flamethrowers. Here's the thing. Flamethrowers have very limited fuel. And even if you added all that fuel here, it's very volatile. Imagine having 2 gas tanks. And I built this on a Mark 1, which has the worst armor out of all of the Mark series. To the point where improvised anti-tank weapons, by like flipping the bullet backwards and adding a bit more powder, work on this. So if one of those hits and hits the flame, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it if I do say so myself.
Now here's yours.
I think I think yep, the elephant tank.
Saint Chamond.
Looks like an elephant to me. Don't ask why, it just does.
What's your pitch to El Jefe and the Resistance?
Okay. This tank was I believe, the first French heavy tank. Could be wrong about that. And it's got a massive, I believe, 75 millimeter cannon on the front, which for this time is actually pretty good.
This is the
And it's got some,
predecessor to the Sherman 75.
and it's also got thicker armor compared to the Mark One, I'm fairly certain. So it'll be able to spearhead attacks and penetrate enemy trenches like there's no tomorrow. That's the picture why it's good. Do you pitch why it's bad as well, right? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, to the
This tank
Resistance, to prove why you're screwing over the dictator.
So this tank was famous for its really short tracks and its really heavy front. And if it tries to go over a trench, it just gets stuck instantaneously. It just falls over, and the front is just too heavy. Even when they tried to remove the gun and limit the weight in the front, it still just fell face first every time it tried to go over a trench, or really just any rough terrain in general. And the tiny tracks couldn't really move it that fast either.
Alright. World War I, 1916 and 1918. Light tank. Behold, the Whippet 75. We took the British Whippet light tank and stuck a 75 millimeter from the Saint Chamond on the front.
Uh-oh.
So you get the speed of the Whippet and the gun of the Saint Chamond. That's all I have to say for the good. That's my pitch to El Jefe. There's no room. There is no room for that. Where's
Yeah,
the back? No one knows. Also, this thing's top speed is 8 miles per hour, and it's only armed with machine guns, so adding a 75 would probably drop it significantly. Assuming it
0.5
even
miles per hour.
fits, I presume we would show him one with a wooden barrel, a mock-up.
Just tear out the back. Have it like that, like the Panzerjäger and the Martyr 3 and stuff, where it's just no back,
Yeah.
all front.
Now for your pick,
Right, I remember this,
the
oh,
Renault FT1775 BS.
it's even uglier than I remember it being. So we all know the Renault 17 was a really innovative and really good tank in the First World War, being able to take out even heavier tanks like the Sturmpanzerwagen A7B. And so why not add a 75 millimeter cannon on top? Because that's just extra firepower, right?
Mhm.
But I forgot why this is bad. I mean, first of all, that 75 millimeters probably pretty big, so it has a huge turret. It's probably a bit heavier and slower.
That's
Not
not a
to mention
turret, that's a casemate.
It's a casemate.
Yeah.
Oh well, that adds. So now you can't rotate your turret, which is probably one of the best things about the Renault 17 originally. And not to mention, there's only one person in the turret, correct? So the
I
command is going
think.
to locate targets, load the 75 millimeter shells, and fire them all by himself, while telling the driver where to drive for the most part. So the commander is going to be severely overworked and overwhelmed.
By the way, I'll mention this when we actually go over them, but that's the gun from the Schneider CA1, I believe it was called. I looked
Oh.
at the statistics for that. Uh, it only had H. The only one I could find was HE, and it was exactly what you'd think for World War One 75 extremely short barrel HE. But now we're at interwar 1919 to 1938 light tank. This is the
Uh-oh.
L3/33 spigot mortar.
Spigot mortar.
Yes, this thing's normally equipped with machine guns, or a flamethrower, or
Or
a
in rare
very light
cases.
anti-tank rifle. But what if we gave it
War
actual
Thunder.
firepower? Behold the British spigot mortar. This thing was famously used on the church Avery for clearing stuff on D-Day as an engineering vehicle. But I feel like that has more versatility as a main tank weapon. You could probably already tell why this sucks, besides putting a British gun on an Italian vehicle in the interwar period. I
Yeah,
hope we
that's
have
one
licensed
minor issue.
manufacturing, I'll just say that. But the true problem is, that thing is front loaded. You'd have to get
Exactly.
out of the vehicle to load it. Also, it has an extremely short range
So this is
on something
basically
that
just a
has
storm
next,
tiger, but you can only shoot from 2 feet away,
and it
basically.
has like next to no armor.
Yeah, no, the armor in the L3 is just made of hopes and dreams, and that's it.
Yeah.
The
But
only thing protecting you from a bullet is your prayers.
yeah, there's a rail at the bottom, and on my next vehicle, you'll see why there's a rail at the bottom.
Okay, and I chose the that thing.
The
That's
Panzer II.
Panzer II. Why did I pick the Panzer II? Okay, let me see if I can let me try to cook here. Let me see if I remember why I chose this. So the Panzer II was the backbone of the German army at the beginning of the war, correct?
Correct.
And it had a 20 millimeter autocannon as well.
Yeah.
So that gives you a lot of firepower for suppressing infantry and really effective for blitzkrieg because it's also a very fast vehicle for this time period, I'm assuming.
Three-man
Not
crew,
to
two
mention,
drivers, a front and a
yeah.
rear.
Not to mention there's pretty easy to modify as there were quite a few variants that came out of this one as well. And even though it was meant as a training tank originally, it was used extensively during the invasion of Poland. So it had a fairly good reputation for at its time. But just like the L3, the armor on this thing was made out of paper. So yeah, it wasn't exactly ideal. Not to mention a 20 millimeter autocannon isn't really good against anything that has any armor whatsoever for the most part. And it had a two-man turret
One man.
or one man, one man. So yeah, again, that commander's going to be overworked once again. Seems to be a reoccurring theme in the interwar period.
Yep. Alright.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Now it's time for interwar medium or heavy tanks.
What did you
Behold,
choose?
the Neberfahrzeug.
Ooh.
This German interwar heavy tank has two main guns. One is the same as the Panzer III, one is the same as the Panzer IV. So it has anti-tank and infantry support capabilities, along with two machine gun turrets and one very special modification. I added a rail to the back so you could put the spigot mortar L3s on the rear engine deck. And when you drive it to battle, you could drive them off.
Oh, I think I pressed the wrong button. Ignore that. Pretend that didn't happen. I
No, that was
misclicked.
perfect.
Oh yeah, it was good. All right,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll roll with it. I meant to do that.
Here's the thing. This thing wasn't really that great. It got outclassed pretty quickly and didn't perform well during the invasion of Norway, which was its only combat use, mostly being used for combat propaganda. Basically, it was almost exclusively used as a propaganda tank.
Mm,
Uh,
T-39.
and uh, adding the L333 spigot mortar on the back uh, would just make it even more heavy, exacerbating the problem of multi-turreted tanks being they're much heavier, harder to command, and you get less armor for extra weight. So it just exacerbates the already existing problems. That's
And
time for
then I
your.
chose, what did I choose? Ah, right, the T-35. I was kind of worried I picked the Never Frotzoid as well. Okay, I can go off of this one pretty well. So this thing was used as a propaganda tank for the Soviet Union at the beginning of the war, right? It's huge. It's got two 35 millimeter cannons, pretty sure. It's got those machine gun turrets as well, and the main 75 millimeter turrets. You got one big gun, two small guns, machine guns, all around protection basically. You got some decent armor with the side skirts. So this thing's looking, and just look at the radio antenna. So it has a radio, which is something fairly uncommon from that time, I'm pretty sure. This thing was just a beast. Now, what wasn't the beast was the transmission, which could not handle the weight of this behemoth, and they tend to break down a lot. And not to mention what AJ mentioned earlier with the armor being paper thin to, stay up on the weight. So you could basically blow this thing up if you sneeze too hard. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this.
Yeah.
Looks cool though, 'cause it's super big.
Interwar 1919 to 1938 wild card. This is the first praying
Oh.
mantis. This is a two-man light tank with a remote-controlled turret. The crew would be in here, and the point was to fire over hedgerows. It made the crew very nauseous. Uh, this can go up and down, by the way. The crew had to lie down, and it's only equipped with machine guns. Uh, yeah.
That can't go wrong.
I don't even think it was very heavily armored either.
I mean, it is a light tank, to be fair.
Yeah.
But to be fair, though, the remote control turret was ahead of their time, because that's what we're trying to do now in the modern day.
Anyways,
So, forward thinking.
speaking of forward thinking, you were almost right with yours.
Uh, I did. I had a feeling I chose this. Whoa, I've got a bit of a cough. All right, well, this is a regular Neverfrotzoid. So,
Oh, I know I hate the Nebuchadnezzar jokes, but that is that is a painting of Nebuchadnezzar right there.
yep. I genuinely thought this thing was called the Nebuchadnezzar when I first saw the name. How do you spell that? So, yeah, this one
Uh,
has the same problems.
Nebuafahrzeug. Yeah, that's about right.
So yeah, this thing, same most of the same problems as mentioned earlier, but this one does not have the rail, so it's slightly better. Um, Still sucks. There were about five of these built. Most of them were used as training tanks. The ones that did go into combat got absolutely double cheek up clapped, and the ones that didn't they turn the last one for target practice or did it just go missing? Don't remember.
Don't remember.
Yeah, so they yeah, kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But they looked really big and intimidating, and El Jefe could definitely buy into it.
World War II, 1939 to 1945 light tank. This is the Covenantor. It may look like a Crusader or a Mark IV cruiser, but this is entirely its own thing. Combining the worst of all worlds. First off, it has basically the same turret as early Crusaders, which that's not a very good gun and not very good mount. And then everything else was a problem too. This thing was horribly unreliable. But that's my pitch to the Resistance. I'm doing it first. What I'm going to pitch it to El Jefe with is we can paint this thing bright red with fire strikes of yellow and the Elbonian flag blazoned everywhere. We'll drive around real quick. We'll do some showing off. We'll even let him have a ride around. We'll convince him that the British had to replan everything after they lost all their tanks in the initial stages. And this is what they came up with to be the new backbone of their force. Conveniently leaving out that they only had 100 built, and it only got that far because they didn't want the manufacturer to go bankrupt. And it was exclusively used for training because of how bad it was. It never saw frontline combat, and if it did, it would have performed horribly. If I can convince El Jefe this is good, I'm fine. If I don't, I'm dead.
And what one issue? What if what the heck? What if El Jefe is really, really, really fat? Would that cause it to break down that little ride? Would that be possible, or was it not that bad?
Well, you see, when you only are showing off one tank, you can make sure it's in the best condition it can possibly be in. All
That's
fresh from the factory parts, all new, best crew possible. You can hedge your bets a lot.
Let's see what I chose. We're both finding out what I chose. Ah, the Stewart. I had a feeling I chose this.
This is
Kind of remember.
Yeah, this is the M3, not to be mistaken with the M2A4 or M3A1.
All right. So, the Stewart was one of those early American tanks, right? Well, pitch to El Jefe is that it is lightning fast, like extremely, extremely fast, and it's got a roof-mounted machine guns on the side, machine gun in the hole, be able to mow down infantry
Coax
like
machine
it's
gun.
D-Day.
It also has a
Oh,
coax.
there's also a coax. Well,
Yeah,
even
it
better.
has
Lots of.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 machine guns.
Not to mention, it's also got a cupola on it as well. So that gives the commander all-round vision, so they can command their tank. And it's also got the 37 millimeter main cannon. It's also a light tank, so it's pretty light, which it's fast. And speed can allow for really complicated, fast-moving maneuvers like blitzkrieg. You can also use that speed to, well, not get hit by the enemy. What's bad about it, first of all, it's got riveted armor, which is not great, especially at this point in time. I don't think riveted. This was what year was it again? This was made.
The M3 specifically, because I know it comes from a very long lineage and it's about smack in the middle, but it's about like 1939, 1940-ish, I want to say.
So yeah, at this point, riveted armor was kind of going out of style with the more modern tanks. It was kind of bad. The 37 millimeter cannon was good at first, I'm fairly certain, but it really just couldn't keep up with the armor of most of the enemy tanks, and it was super ineffective. And the machine guns just kind of added weight and complexity, which ended up being removed because they were kind of pointless. And not to mention, I'm pretty sure this thing was a fuel guzzler as well. According to Armageddon, the museum, this thing burns fuel extremely fast.
This is
And
honestly
the armor
probably,
was paper thin as well.
yeah. This is probably one of your weaker picks, but you're lucky that we went with Europe and not the Pacific, because if we were in the Pacific, you'd be
Oh,
laughed out
different
of the
story.
room for choosing something too good.
Yeah, in the
Uh,
Pacific, like a light tank would be considered like a heavy tank to the Japanese.
anyways, do you recognize this?
No. What?
This
T-3470. Wait, got a little thingy on it though. Looks like a
this is the
Cyclops.
prototype T-34. I originally
Oh,
wanted to find like
prototype.
uh, I'll pitch this to El Jefe as the well, it's the tank that the Germans are that scared the Germans. They can't fight it. Uh, and we should build this as is here in Elbonia in our
Oh,
god awful industrial sector, which can't get any resources because it's in the middle of a war. And uh, this is the prototype, which normally the problem with the T-34s is that they got too stripped down during the war. This has too many features. Like, it only needs one hull headlight. It doesn't need the turret one or the other hull headlight, for example. That's just too many.
does it have the invincible driver's hatch?
Uh, depends if we use volumetric in this patch. Yeah. So, uh, basically, prototype T-34 made with Elbonia production quality.
Yeah, I can see where that's going, and that's nowhere. I picked the M3 Lee, not to be confused with the M3 Grant, because the
Which
Grant
is
was
right
actually a little bit
behind
better.
it.
Yeah.
It's really personal taste between the Lee and the Grant. They're very similar.
So I personally think the Lee is a little bit worse because let me go into this. So while it's good, first of all, it's got that big 75 millimeter in the hull, which is effective against more against bunkers and heavy infantry, and it's got this anti-tank 37 millimeter on top for anti-tank uses, so it can effectively engage bunkers and defend itself from tanks simultaneously. And the cupola has a rotating cupola with a machine gun mounted on it normally. That's the difference between the Lee and the Grant for the most part. So that it can actually fight infantry as well.
The main difference is
Not
the Grant removed some hull machine guns, had a different turret so it could fit a radio in the back, so it could cut the radio operator position, bringing it from 7 to 6 crew.
so. What's bad about? I mean, also the Grant was pretty fast. As Lee was pretty fast as well for something so built like a skyscraper. What's bad about it is the armor again was not very good. It's still got the riveted armor, not as good as the Sherman armor or anything like that. The turret armor as well was pretty thin. It's also got a lot of crew and one commander who has to operate a rotating cupola with a machine gun. So the commander was extremely overloaded in this vehicle. It did get a good reputation in Africa
And the Pacific.
and the Pacific. Well, the Pacific all-American tanks really got a good reputation there because the Japanese tanks were made, the armor was made of air. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for the Lee. Again, I think that like the Lee, you can really make an argument for why it's good and bad. It's got a lot of reasons for both. So that's why I chose it. Personally, I don't think it's very good, but
Alright.
it does have promise. Something like Albonia.
World War II heavy tank. Behold! Here it comes, it's coming. This is the. Oh my god, the driver's wrist! Oh my god, the driver's wrist is broken! Oh my god, medic! This is the Valiant. Designed in 1942, which had thicker armor than the Tiger. Finished in 1944. out of pure bureaucratic momentum. It should have been canceled long before that. The one that was actually built, when it tried to drive from the place where it was built to the proving ground, not even at the proving ground, they had to use a hammer just to get into fourth, let alone fifth, and it broke the driver's wrist. Normal
Pretty
vehicles
light
aren't
handling.
supposed to do that.
Yeah, real easy steering, I see.
It was
Pretty.
canned right there. But what we have to pitch to Elbonia is that we need a heavy tank. And the British have this perfectly good design lying around. It even has thicker armor than the Tiger. And every allied troop is afraid of that thing like hell. And we could get this for cheap. We can get ourselves a cheap superior Tiger. Just leaving out the fact that they'll have to find someone willing to drive it.
And I chose,
Here it comes.
yep, the mouse. Alright, this one's, I just actually saw a 40-minute video with the mouse yesterday, so I can really cook with this one right now. So this is the mouse, the heaviest tank ever built, weighing at 189 tons. So what's good about it? Well, first of all, the obvious thing, the armor is extremely thick, um, impervious to basically all allied anti-tank weapons of that time. Even from the sides, the armor was still extremely thick. Even the roof armor was about 4 inches over the driver's compartment, but only about 3 inches over the turret, which is still thicker than the frontal armor of a Sherman, I'm fairly certain. It had a 128 millimeter cannon and a 75 millimeter cannon right next to that, meaning it could decimate targets from extremely long ranges as well. It also had a coaxial machine gun for infantry at close ranges. The It has a special bogey wheel system on the bottom. Each one does weigh about 1 ton, but they really help disperse the weight of the vehicle. And the transmission, instead of using a traditional gearbox that would probably grind itself to just dust under the weight of the vehicle, it has a special electric transmission using 2 giant motors to power it, meaning that one mouse connected to another mouse could actually run with one off and one on. What I'm, Let me rephrase that. That makes a lot of sense. One mouse could have its engine running while the other one could be plugged into the one with the engine running and still be able to run because the motors work electric motor used instead of traditional gearboxes. What's bad about it? Well, it's extremely heavy and can't cross a bridge to save its life, literally.
It was meant to snorkel through rivers.
Which is why which is one of the reasons why I mentioned the two mouse thing. What they would do is they would have one mouse above ground, facing backwards to watch out for enemies, and have its engine running, plug into the other mouse with the snorkel and stuff. The other one would swim underwater using the power of the other mouse, get to the other side, and then they would switch roles somehow, and then that's how they would cross a river. So you can see why that wouldn't work. Not to mention, if the enemy spotted one of these, this thing, it
Every
took over
bomber.
100 pounds of force. It took about 100 pounds of force to rotate the turret. So even if it takes out one tank, the other one's probably going to get away. They're probably going to call for air support or artillery fire. Even though it is meant to resist artillery fire, a well-placed shot could definitely take it out. Not to mention the
Or remove the
couple
tracks.
bombs. Or remove the tracks. That's true.
This thing was more meant to be used like a tank battleship. It was meant to have other smaller supporting tanks around it.
It was also meant to. It was meant for two roles mainly. It was meant for that. It was also meant to replace the concrete bunkers, since concrete bunkers took a long time to set up, and they were fighting a defensive war at that point. They planned to also use it as a temporary bunker, because even though it was extremely slow and heavy, it was a lot faster than building a concrete bunker. Like, a lot faster. Not to mention that as big as this thing looks, it was actually extremely cramped in the interior because the two-piece ammunition needed for the cannon were absolutely ginormous. So yeah, this thing's really easy to pitch why it's good, and maybe even easier to pitch why it's bad.
Yeah. Now time for the tank destroyers, which there's a non-zero chance I have you first. No, I don't. All right, this is the
What the hell?
Gorilla. You may notice something wrong. This is a Panzer 38T based
Okay.
artillery vehicle. We're not here for
Is that like a...
artillery. So let's remove the gun. Now you see, I got my hands on this top secret Allied project. More top secret than the Manhattan Project. The Canal Defense Light.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we shall blind our enemies before attacking
Tank
them.
destroyer or tank blinder?
But we need guns. What's better than one gun? Two guns.
Fuck!
Those are 37mm German anti-tank guns. Ignore the fact that they're nicknamed the Door Knocker, because of how ineffective they were. I don't even have to pitch this for either side, as it's very obvious how it would be pitched to either side. It pitches itself to both.
Yeah, it's self-explanatory to both sides. Like, however you want to see it is the way you will see it, basically.
Yeah. It's either like a two-gun behemoth that will blind your enemies, or
Or a walking target.
or a tank destroyer that cannot shoot, which has to lump around a giant light bulb, which
Yeah,
will
I
immediately
get
give away its position as soon as it starts to ambush.
And then I chose the Jagdtiger.
Hmm.
Okay, this one's also really easy to pitch for both ways. First of all, while we're the president of Elbonia, this thing's built on the Tiger 2 chassis, which has extremely thick angled armor. It's got that advanced overlapping wheel system to help it disperse its immense weight. Also got those thick tracks for the exact same purpose. And the Tiger 2 had a improved overlapping wheel system, which made it significantly easier to maintenance and repair than the regular Tiger and Panther ones. Not to mention the casemate has an extremely thick armor as well, so it's basically impervious to all allied attacks. The cannon, what size was the cannon again? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Over 100.
Okay, so it has a massive cannon that could just reduce any tank it sees to ash. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the good things. Why it's bad? Same thing. It's just so heavy.
And big.
Its transmission will just like have a heart attack. It's also massive, so it's not really good for ambushing. I mean, you could see this thing from the other side of the planet if you really squinted. It's huge. Not to mention the angling on the front isn't exactly there. So, pretty soon with the British using APFSDS or similar, they could probably penetrate that very soon. So it looks great on paper, but in practice it had a lot of mechanical failure. Although when it didn't fail, it was very good. So it could serve as a... It could be presented to El Jefe and actually shown in combat working once or twice before it completely fails and never works again.
We'll have fresh from the factory parts and have the best technicians on standby.
We're gonna need them.
But now it's time for the wild card. Is it a bird? It's a plane? No, it's the
It's the-
A40 glider tank. We shall glide tanks with our paratroopers behind the enemy lines and wreak havoc. Because the problem with paratroopers is they got nothing to support them. Well, now they do.
Except.
Except to actually make it light enough, the A40 had to have basically no fuel or ammunition on it.
Yeah, that
So
might
it's
be an
like,
issue.
yes, you can glide this tank behind enemy lines, where it will then proceed to move a mile, shoot one guy, and then be useless.
I guess an extra thing you can pitch to El Jefe is that even if he discovers that, right, the pure intimidation from tanks flying in from the sky,
If
it'll
he
probably be
does,
someone
we'll just
will one.
claim that we'll improve it with like better glide tugs or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good idea. Or you could probably have like a there's like something called like a sustaining glider where they have these propellers kind of that help them glide for faster and longer and
Ah,
give a better
yes.
lift. So
Because
you
the
could upgrade
problem
it with
with
that.
this thing is that it's not heavy enough.
Yeah, great idea. You could tell him that, and he would. I think he could buy into that. And then I chose. I don't remember what I chose for this one either. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is even easier to pitch than the mouse. I picked a lot of easy ones for the World War II era, except for the first two for World War II. Lee and Stewart were kind of tricky to pitch. So this is the beautiful, beautiful P-1000 Rat. It was planned to have a 120 millimeter anti-tank gun on the front, two 280 millimeter naval cannons on the top, two mouse turrets on the back, which I don't see on here,
Yeah, this isn't
and
an ideal illustration. It was the one I grabbed from Wikipedia, but it's not super accurate.
ah, and I think somewhere from 2 to 6 anti-aircraft guns on the rear.
Yeah, two on the turret, and then 2 to 4 on the rear back, the engine deck.
So I'll pitch why it's bad first, and I have a reason why. So first of all, this thing was, like the name suggests, P1000. It was 1,000 tons. This thing would make Queso look like he's built like a twig. Not to mention the fuel you would need for this behemoth at the point in the war where they were is obnoxious. And the
Battleship, engine,
ammunition,
and
the crew.
turret is not a good combo.
Yeah, not to mention the amount of crew, ammunition, and how do you transport this thing? Because this thing was not fast, obviously. So how the heck do you get this thing anywhere useful? You can't put it on a train. It would crush the train. If you could even fit it on the train in the first place. I think it's pretty sure it's heavier than the Schwerer Gustav. So, and 1,000 tons was the planned weight. Keep in mind for the mouse, the planned weight was 100 tons, and it ended up being 189. So you can imagine this thing was probably going to end up being a lot heavier than expected.
Do you think the Elbonia economy can afford this?
Yeah, probably not. And another thing is this thing being massive, um, pretty susceptible to aircraft. Now, how I pitch it to El Jefe is, first of all, for the aircraft issue, if anyone brings that up, it's got a whole bunch of anti-aircraft guns. So it could theoretically defend itself from aircraft pretty easily. Theoretically. Not to mention, it's basically immune to any and all ground resistance and even possibly naval resistance with its obnoxious number of cannons. And its triple tracks will help disperse its weight so it won't sink into the ground like the mouse.
Early Cold War, 1946 and 1973. Light or heavy tank? Behold, the Chaffee Katusha. Yes, you see, I took an anti-aircraft Chaffee variant. I think the M42. Uh, the one with the cannons, not the machine guns that actually served in Vietnam. Uh, and just replace the anti-aircraft machine guns with Katyusha rocket system.
This seems kind of familiar now that you mention it. Hold on. I think I've seen something. Yes, the BM-824 T60 from War Thunder. It's the T60 tank chassis with the Katyusha on it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, I'm not sure it's a. I think it's a different rocket system on that one.
But a similar concept. So what
Yeah.
separates this one from that one? Why is this one better on paper but worse in practice? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, first off, have you ever met something a rocket couldn't kill? Plus, rockets can kill from way farther away. And their silhouette would probably be easier to hide than a turret. Now, here's the major problem you're probably already seeing. If you remember the first episode, I talked about how hard it would be to basically hip fire a tank gun on a T-14 Armada. This is worse. You would either have to fire it from here or get out of the vehicle to fire it. Also, these two rules don't match up. A light tank is meant for scouting. A rocket system is meant for long range, basically artillery roles. Those contradict each other. I'm not saying a concept like this couldn't work. I'm saying that there's better ways to do the thing than build this.
And I chose. Right. I forgot what this is called. It's
That is the
STRV
STRV 74.
74. Kind of call back my memory from this. I remember why I chose this kind of. So first of all, the turret, why it's good. Um, this has the very similar turret to some of the American MBTs of that time. So in theory, it could keep up with the most modern of tanks of the time. Not to mention, it was also pretty fast. Why it's bad? Wow,
Cheap.
I don't remember much about this. Cheap? Is that? What'd you
That
say?
was an upside. But
Oh, yeah.
if anyone's booted up War Thunder, I know that's not a good reliable source, but that does immediately show why this is a bad pick. This is an interwar hull. That's not surviving anything. I bet a heavy machine gun could probably penetrate that. That is a Bof. The main gun is based off of a Bofors. Now, with its best penetrating shell, it would struggle to penetrate a T-55 frontally. Could do it from the side. And its next best shell would not be able to do it frontally at all, besides maybe a lucky hit on the cupola, and would not be able to penetrate the T-55's turret from the side and would have to aim for the hull. Basically, this is, hey, we need a light tank now, no matter how cheap. That's not what Elbonia needs out of a lighter heavy tank. Medium tank. So you remember those T-34s we made earlier?
Yeah?
Well,
What did you do to them?
Egypt has a brilliant plan to bring T-34s into the modern era. Behold, the T-34-100.
Oh my
Ignore the
gosh,
fact that it's
poor guy.
pictured here in an Israeli tank museum. That should tell you everything you have to know. It is a 100 millimeter gun attached to a backwards T-34-85 turret that has been sliced open.
Um, is there a machine gun pod over the tracks?
No, that's just a machine gun port.
Still, why? What? Ew, ew. Is it normally there, or
Yeah,
is it
yes,
just bad
yes, it's
angle?
normally there. Let
Wait,
me.
it looks like it's over the tracks though. I think I might be just
It's
looking at it
not.
from a weird
Here.
angle.
It's that.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like over the tracks, like on top of
No.
them. I was gonna say why. I was. It was a weird angle.
Yeah. Uh, but you can already tell the problem. This thing has negligible armor in this modern era. We don't have the 85 turret. We have the first 76 millimeter turret. So you'd have to build an entirely new tank turret and then stick the 100 millimeter in that. And even after all that, it's the gun's too big. I'll just say that this chassis is not made for a gun this big. It's like, yes, you can bring your tanks to the modern generation. Or you could get a tank from the modern generation that will outperform it in every way.
Yeah. And then I chose
The M47
right.
Patton.
That right. Hmm. Why did I choose this thing? Time to get my brain cells working again. You know what? I don't remember.
Stopgap.
Um, I'm not an expert on the Cold
It's
War
a
tanks. I
stopgap
don't
between the
remember.
M46 and M48, which would all ultimately lead into the M60. So you can frame it as the new American tank, but this is just the new American tank until the actual new American tank comes.
Yeah, that works. I don't remember anything about this tank though, because I picked it a while ago.
Yeah. And we're not here to judge them yet. That's the end. Early Cold War APC or wild card?
What the heck is
Well, you
that?
see, uh, I may have slightly cheated. The technology existed theoretically, possibly, maybe, definitely not at this point. But the concept came from the 2010s. I'll just ignore that.
Ah.
Well, you see, there's this wonderful group of people who have very smart ideas in the military called the Fighter Plane Mafia. One of their members is named Mike Sparks. And he had this idea to rename the M113 to the Gavin, and to make, behold, the Aero Gavin variant. Did you
Yeah.
make that noise, or was that a soundboard noise?
No, that was me. I don't have a lot of soundboard noises.
It would have two uh, anti-aircraft rockets. Just like, knowing that those are AIM-7s and this thing clearly doesn't have a radar, it would be driven by a propeller at the top, having an awful cross-section and flying characteristics. But this thing would take off with a full complement in the Gavin. It would go over, fly to the location, land, disembark the crew, who would do their thing, and then return and fly away. Ignore the fact that when you land and detach the wings, you're then leaving missiles unaccompanied. Which, if someone comes and accidentally activates them and dies because you have an unaccompanied explosive, that may or may not be a war crime.
Yeah, it's great. It's perfectly safe, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then for the APC, I chose BMP2,
One. That's the BMP1.
BMP1. Okay, I think I make it. They're pretty similar though, right? No,
No,
there's not much of a difference between the two.
they're different.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can make the same argument for both of them. So on paper, this thing looks pretty great, right? It's a
The first ever IFV.
first ever IFV. You got your troops inside. You have the turret with a 20 millimeter autocannon or 30 millimeter autocannon.
It's not an autocannon. It has an
No,
autoloader,
not.
but most people remove it because a manual loader's faster in the two-man turret.
Well, so you got. So hypothetically, you could have the autoloader in it, which is futuristic technology, technology of the future, amphibious vehicle. So you go on ground or in the water. So
Instantly,
hypothetically,
no
you could bring your
conversion.
so you could bring your troops theoretically anywhere at any time, except for in the air. But it's also pretty
That's
light.
why you have to go with the Aerogavin, baby.
It's also very light, so it's fairly fast as well, and it doesn't really have. It's also, it's got armor, which is something regular troop transport like Humvees and stuff don't have. Why it's bad? The armor is there, but it's, really thin. Like you mentioned, the cannon's pretty small and not fastest.
It also comes with one anti-tank guided missile. Only one,
Yeah.
if you're a good boy.
So yeah, you can get one missile. I mean, better than nothing, but it's basically nothing. And I don't know how reliable these things were, but I haven't heard great about them for reliability. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got.
Late Cold War, 1973 to 1991, IFV. Now, you see, a little known fact about Elbonia, uh, after the A-40 and Aerogavin, the
Uh-oh.
aerial forces of Elbonia have gotten disillusioned with making tanks fly, or APCs fly in the Aerogavin's case. So, they want a tank for the airborne troops of Elbonia with as many weapon systems on it that is air transported, not self-transporting. Luckily, the Russians already had this problem and solved it for us. Behold, the BMD-4.
Oh, something looks wrong.
This thing has 4 weapon systems on it,
Ooh.
and it's amphibious and fast and has no armor, and because it has 4 weapon systems on it, none of the weapon systems have any ammo. And when I said has no armor, I mean can be penetrated by small arms, has no armor.
Ooh. That seems like a infantry fighting vehicle, more like infantry moving target.
Exactly.
And then I chose, I think
The
right, this French thing.
AMX-10P.
Okay. This one is amphibious or is not? Don't remember off the top of my head.
What?
This IFV is or is not amphibious. It looks amphibious, but could be wrong about that.
You can claim it to be
Don't
amphibious
remember.
and then remove all the amphibious features.
That's true. So I could definitely pitch this as an amphibious to the El Jefe. I could say, the turret is unmanned, right? Now that no one's inside of that, because I don't think anyone fits in there, so that gives it an advantage. It's got the auto cannon. It's also got smoke grenades to hide it from enemy fire, which I don't think all IFVs have. Yeah, I'm making a really bad pitch right now. Just trust the process and let me cook. Why it's bad? First of all, it's pretty tall, which makes it an easier target to spot. Second of all, I don't think the ground clearance is very good on this one.
I
Don't
think your best
remember.
case is that this is basically a glorified APC in the IFV era.
That's true. It basically looks like an M113, I think, APC with a tiny gun strapped on top. Like you tried buying a BMPT, but you got it off like Temu, but it's French. Basically what this is.
Oui, oui. It is time for the MBT. Behold, the T-72 Euro. This is the premier Russian export tank. This is, if a war comes, will be the first tank on the front lines. And it sucks. It's basically a T-80. Or no, a T-70, a T-62 or T-64. Except you remove most of the fancy features. Have a big vulnerability at the turret ring that lets you play turret toss, which is about as deadly as it sounds. And this is before they made all the modifications to make it somewhat workable. Thanks, Soviet Union. If one thing's for sure, we'll be able to get it. If another thing's for sure, they will die very quickly.
And then I chose, I hope it's not what I'm thinking, the Starship.
Yep, the M60A2 Starship.
Okay. First of all, for the pitch why it's good, first of all, it has a lot of curves and sloped shapes, meaning it's extremely resistant to enemy fire, and it also makes it look like the tank of the future. And the name Starship also hints towards the fact that it is new and upcoming. It's also it's got a full 360 view cupola, giving the commander unparalleled awareness of the battlefield. And the cannon was what was the size of the cannon again? I think it was a pretty big cannon for the time.
Well, it doesn't
It
matter what
was.
the caliber is, it matters what it fires.
That's true too. I don't remember that either. Was it someone that fired rockets, or was that?
Yes, yes, this thing fired ATGMs or Hesh rounds. Your next tank also has the same gun, by the way.
Yeah. So this thing,
And the gun sucked.
yeah, that's why I picked this one for the most part. It's because the gun was really promising, but it, you know, um, not to mention that it just looks very cramped. I doubt there's a lot of room inside the turret, and a lot of storage for the ammunition either. And it's ugly too.
Late Cold War wildcard. Behold, the Object 279 Davy Crockett. The main problem with the Davy Crockett is that it's a nuke
Yeah,
attached to a
that's a good
recoilless
idea.
rifle, but it doesn't have enough range. You're inside the blast radius unless you're behind a hill with good wind. What if we could fire it from inside the blast radius and be fine?
Oh,
Behold, the
I see why this
experimental
could go well.
Soviet heavy tank meant just for that purpose. The Object 279. So the goal here is to drive into a combat zone, nuke it, and drive out.
On paper, that actually seems like an extremely good idea.
Can you catch
On
problem number
paper.
1?
Honestly, no. I
What
can't immediately see
what
a
is the
flaw.
system that fires the Davy Crockett,
A recoilless rifle? Oh, I see the problem
which
now.
would vent inside the tank? A tank
Yeah,
which
that's
must be
probably
sealed because otherwise it's not nuke proof.
yeah. So that's one issue. I
The
didn't
next
catch on
problem is
first.
that you can't use it like a normal tank either, as this is replacing the main
The
gun.
main gun.
So
So
you
you,
only have one machine gun.
to be fair, um,
Even
probably not
if
gonna be much opposition left after you drop the nuke. To be fair.
even if you attached it to the side, then uh and still had the main gun. This thing is horribly unreliable, and those are fuel tanks.
Those are fuel tanks with
Vulnerable
the
fuel
bottom-
tanks.
Ooh, I did not know that actually. So this is actually the best tank on the entire slideshow so far because it looks incredible on paper. Then you dive a little deeper, and it's got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But this is a really good one.
Also, we'll ask the Soviet Union first for the tank. And then we'll ask America for the Davy Crockett, but because we just got the tank from the Soviet Union, they'll say no.
Yeah, unless you do
So-
it, in secret.
Then we just have a bunch of Object 279s for no reason.
I think this is probably the best one on the slideshow. This period. I think you really cooked with that. Oh, what the bloody hell is
The
that?
M551 Sheridan, America's
Oh,
last
the Sheridan.
production light tank.
Right, well, first, this is what, 1973? At this point, light tanks are basically just irrelevant. The armor is too thin, and they've been basically replaced by IFVs. The gun,
It's
yeah,
the same
and
as
we're
the
not gonna
short.
mention
Same as the
same
Starship.
thing as the Starship. So where are you gonna put the ammunition? Really, it's not a lot of room, and not to mention the horrible shot trap I'm seeing along the sides. Why it's good? Like I pitch it's good. First of all, it's got that giant roof-mounted machine gun. It's fast, and it's got ATGMs and HESH, right? Or does not have the HESH?
It
It's
has
got
both.
And it's got extremely sloped armor, especially on the turret, to bounce shells off really well. That's all I've got for this one. But yeah, it's wow, that thing is ugly. Thank you
Modern
for saving
era,
my eyes.
1992 to present, IFV. Well, you see, the British have just made an amazing IFV, and for some reason, they want to get rid of it before even putting it into mass production. It's a homegrown design, and something we're going to take for ourselves if they don't want it, which they appear not to want. Behold the Ajax!
Well, it looks pretty cool, but what's the catch?
It is a full, complete, modern IFV that will shake itself apart.
Oh, that seems like a small problem.
With poor production quality.
That sounds, pretty British. The name is cool, at least, but
It's
I can
stronger
see
than
why you could
Greece,
pitch it
and
both
it may
ways,
be
though.
Ajax, stronger than Greece. And the Greek army may be the only army this thing would be able to face. No, I'm not giving the Greeks enough credit. The Greeks would be able to defeat this. Ajax, you are not stronger than Greece. You're going to get killed by a Trojan horse.
Not even that.
That is absolutely not how he dies in the Iliad. But I'm waiting for the Muppet Iliad remake. to figure out how it actually goes.
And then I chose. I think I made a really big mistake for this one. Yeah, I made a really, really big mistake for this
Yeah,
one.
what was your thinking?
Okay, for this one, I didn't know a lot about modern vehicles. I just kind of Googled it for this one. Um,
This thing's
yeah, this was
the still
amazing.
in development German IFV. I know how you're
I
going to sell it for good. How are you going to ruin this?
Yeah, that's the question because I did some research afterwards, and apparently this might be it's being considered possibly the best IFV on the planet. Possibly. Hmm.
I do
Yeah,
think
I
I
don't know
know a
how to
way
sell
to.
this thing for bad.
I know a way to save
I'll
it. I know a way to save it.
I'll let you try 'cause I have no idea how to save this thing.
This
I've
thing
been
is still
dreading
under
this time.
development. We
You know,
just
that's a
won't
good
tell
point.
Elbonia that. We'll Emperor's New Clothes them.
I think that's the only way you can really save this thing because this thing is super duper duper good.
MBT time, baby. Okay, this is probably one of the most unhinged things I'm gonna do.
Uh-oh.
You see, the fighter plane Mafia says the M60 is the best tank the US has ever made. Talking about modern warfare here. Because it has a machine gun in the hull to sweep trenches, but America made one more tank after that with a machine gun in the hull. So thus, that must be the true best tank America has ever made, regardless of era into the present. The M47 patent. But you can't just drag and drop a tank this old into modern combat. You have to make a few minor adjustments. First off, let's add some ERA to
Uh-oh.
improve the armor suite. But the main gun may not be good enough, so let's just strap two RPGs to the side, RPG 7s, with remote triggers. And if that's not good enough, and the whole point of this is to be mass produced, make as many of them as possible, and just
Oh
shove them
no.
into the battlefield. So they're gonna die pretty fast. So we're gonna add a beacon to it, so artillery can be called onto it once it's taken out.
What?
So then our enemies won't be able to take America's best ever tank and die in the process.
So there's like tiger scuttling, but on steroids, and not the good kind of steroids.
Yeah, we'll get the fighter plane Mafia guys in here. They'll do their whole shtick about how modern technology is unproven and unsafe, and we need to go back to the good old stuff, the proven stuff.
Yeah,
And
the
this
good
stuff.
old radium paint dials.
But you can't just drag and drop. So we've made it better using proven technology. Ignore the fact that that beacon could probably be hacked. Then the enemies could use it for artillery targeting. Or tracking. Or how those RPGs probably wouldn't do the best on the modern battlefield. And how
Unless you're fighting Russian MBTs. In that case, then you're probably good.
these tanks are so old, how are you going to do maintenance? And we can just fake the ERA. We could do what the Russians do and just throw in cardboard and just sell off the actual stuff.
And then I don't know what I chose for the MBT. Um. Oh.
You live. You live.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So.
would have to actively try and make a case against you. And that would only be the Chinese state media called out the Chinese government when they considered buying this thing because of how bad it is. You just don't tell El Jefe that and you're fine.
Basically. And for the viewers watching this episode,
Watch
if you really want to know
episode
more about
1.
this thing, episode 1, we go
I'm
fully
sorry
in
about the
depth
mic
into
quality
this
on the
tank.
first 2 episodes, by the way.
Yeah, just got to deal with
Episode
that,
1
guys.
is the worst because that's when I don't even have a good mic yet.
But
But
we go super in depth into this tank. So if you want to know more about Russia's new tank, then that's where you gotta go, guys. But
live.
let me give you a small spiel. Here is why it's the tank of the future. So it's got electric drives, correct? That was used, invented ahead of their time. It's got a fully unmanned turret with APS. It has defenses against drones. It's got the autoloader. It's got a three-man crew,
All in the hull.
all in the hull. Yep. And it's got a completely unmanned turret, like I mentioned earlier, which means you're gonna tie it behind the hill, and even if the turret gets shot off, the tank is completely battle operational. Why it's bad? Here's the long part.
Da, da, da,
That
da.
APS we mentioned, pretty sure that APS is more like inactive protection system. It's manual, so you're just gonna have to fire that yourself. And if you haven't seen APS before, that you have to aim and fire the correct projectile within a split second.
If
And a
you want to see
human
how hard that is,
couldn't do
go
that.
back to episode 1.
Episode 1.
And I have a
Yeah.
video of a Merkava 4 being shot with an RPG and successfully defeating it with its APS. And I want to see if you watch that, even if you just say the word stop, even after multiple times, if you can get the timing down perfectly.
Yeah, I
You
think that'd
know
be
it's
really
coming, you know when it's going to happen, and it's gonna be hard.
I think that would be a really cool chance we could do for a podcast episode, actually. And
Well, just
another
us
thing which is
watching the
bad,
video over and over trying to say stop after it's fired, but before it's hit the tank. Well, doesn't hit the
something like
tank,
that,
it gets
yeah.
countered.
But still, something like that would be pretty cool. Or like with War Thunder, you know? I think something interesting we could do. But also, the electric drives on this vehicle I mentioned earlier were, um, if I'm not mistaken, the exact same ones used on the Ferdinand and Elephant tanks, which
Yeah,
were
it has the
renowned
same
for
engine as the
horrible
Porsche
mobility.
Tiger, with some modifications, but not enough.
And we know, those the best mobility on any German tank, of course. That was
A tank that
sarcasm,
should
but
have appeared in this video, but didn't because it was too unsellable for either of us.
yeah. That's pretty much all I've got for this one, because I don't want to take up the whole episode on this one tank. But we could go for a while on this one.
Win, win, win.
You can't lose with that one. It's like a free space in bingo.
It's time for the modern era wild card.
Oh.
So you see, the Russians in Ukraine have this ingenious concept called the turtle tank. You
Or
basically,
part of the language, but it's also known affectionately as the Blyatmobile.
basically, you take an old tank, you remove most of the crew, you surround it in armor, and add a bunch of drone jammers. So when you attack, all the drones go to that tank and get jammed or fail to take it out. Who knows? Maybe you'll even keep the main gun active, so it can fire one or two shots in like a 2-degree angle. But why should we
Using a
waste all of
powerful
our good
gun
new
push.
tanks on this? You see, Elbonia has a domestically produced tank that's been around for ages that would be perfect in this role to finally get out
Oh
of those
no.
warehouses.
Oh no. Yeah, oh no.
Behold the T-34 turtle tank.
I feel bad for these T-34 who were just like abusing them in this episode.
And these are Elbonia made. These are made in Elbonia T-34s
Even
too.
worse. E-34s.
Yeah, so they already started as unreliable. Then they got more weight added to them after years. And then after decades, they're having even more weight applied to them as they presumably have rusted into dust in a warehouse and presumably less than one works. Anyways,
Yeah,
it's
so
time for
that's
your
gonna be
modern era
great.
wild card.
Oh, I don't want to touch for this. Oh, is that the Arjun? Correct?
No.
With the Sturm Tiger. Okay.
That
Arjun
is an
Storm Tiger
Arjun, by the
cannon.
way. But it's an Arjun with a casemate 38 millimeter. That's what you told me to put.
Okay, I think I can cook this one. So the Arjun was
Autoloader, by the way.
a collaboration between Germany, which is the goat of tanks, pretty much, with India to make their own MBT. So it's made by the same manufacturer originally as the Leopard 2, and it is the heaviest modern tank with tons of ERA, spaced armor, you name it.
From what
And
I've heard, it's not actually that good either.
yeah, I saw a video about it. It wasn't that good, but it was promising, but not very good. Like communism, great on paper, that doesn't work too well in reality. But this thing now has a casemate Storm Tiger cannon. So basically, with an autoloader as well. So you have massive 380 millimeter shells, or rockets rather, to literally obliterate anything you see. So just take a handful of these, drive on up to a city, and oops, where'd the city go? You see an enemy tank? Oh, it's not there anymore. It's been completely pulverized. Why this is bad? First of all, the Arjun hull was already really heavy, and with a casemate Sturm Tiger turret on top, it's even heavier and even slower, even more unreliable. Also, you're going to have basically no ammo capacity with the massive 380 millimeter shells.
You can't turn the turret. You have to turn the
You
entire
can't.
tank.
If you're in urban combat or any close quarters combat, have fun turning the entire tank. It's not going to end well. Not to mention, with modern combat, that rockets loaded inside the cannon is a really juicy target to just take out your entire tank with.
At least it doesn't have
And
to be loaded by crane anymore. Actually, no, it probably
that's
still
true.
does have to be loaded by crane. It's just automated now.
An autoloader crane, yeah. So,
I
it's
don't
pretty
think Elbonia has
self-explanatory why this is
skills to
bad.
keep that up and running successfully.
So yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory for why it's good and why it's bad. And it also be pretty ugly.
Alright, now it's time for the final category. All 1916 to present wild card. You're going first.
Oh, yippee, what did I choose?
With an improved transmission.
Oh, okay. Oh, I really liked the Sturm Tiger back then, didn't I? So the Sturm Tiger with a new and improved um transmission that actually works. So why it's good? Similar to what I mentioned earlier, it's a massive 380 millimeter cannon, so you can obliterate concrete bunkers, tanks, infantry, that one airplane in the sky you tried to waste your ammunition on.
Your nan
Anything
that
you
you
see,
really
it's
hate.
dead. Yeah, anything you see, it's dead. Not to mention, it has a little machine gun pod there for anti-infantry. Because I can guarantee you're not going to waste a 380 millimeter shell on an infantryman in front of you. And it's also got extremely thick angled armor.
Oh, come on. I could
And now,
totally 360 no scope that thing.
and with its new transmission that actually works for a change, it won't break down under its extreme weight. So you can actually drive this thing. Why it's bad? First of all, this thing has basically no ammo capacity because the shells are so massive. Second of all, you still need to have the crew members step out of the tank, using the crane to load the ammunition in manually, and still the engine is underpowered, so it's still extremely slow. And oh, hold on, I blanked. Oh yeah, the visibility is still horrible on this vehicle. So it's still got most of the problems. Just the transmission was known as the biggest problem, and if you fix that, it looks like it's changed for the better, but it's still plagued with problems.
It's a band aid fix.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good way to put it.
I forgot I had that there.
Erecting a dispenser. What did you choose for this one?
This
Looks?
is a Panzer
No,
1.
command.
Yes, you are correct. It is unmanned. It's remote controlled. even the machine gun. This
Oh,
is a trailer. It is connected to the Panzer One. We have troops inside. The troops can fire out via the machine guns attached to it. So the Panzer One drives up to the front, drives up to the enemy lines, disconnects, and then the troops get out
oh.
and secure the already cleared area because, machine guns, and it just blew up. There are no problems with this idea whatsoever. Yep,
Yeah,
no, none.
not. Nope, nothing. Nada, nil.
We just have to give one demonstration to El Jefe and he'll be sold. Alright, a lot of the people may have fallen asleep at this point, so this is your one warning to take off your headphones. Alright, wake up! We're ranking the vehicles!
Was there an audio in that? Or it's just the guy's face? I didn't hear anything on my side.
It played Entry of the Gladiators. Alright.
Okay. We'll see how that went.
Worst case scenario, I could probably add it in post. Alright, so, how we're going to do this. Star, live. Drop of blood. You get killed by the CIA resistance or whatever. Blood splatter. You get killed by El Jefe. Both. You die by both. Alright. Flame Mark 1. Live or die.
You probably live for that one. Because it's terrible in practice, but it has a lot of promise.
Alright. Saint Chamond.
Yay! I got a gold star!
Yeah, I feel like you live for that one. Whippet 75.
Whippet 75, I'm gonna give you a gold star for that one as well. Because assuming you can actually mount that properly and have it work for a demonstration somehow, you could definitely sell that.
Doesn't have to be a real gun.
Yeah,
We're now
wouldn't mock up will be fine.
FT75 BS. The resistance would probably let you live because you're selling them a worse version of this vehicle. Would El Jefe let you live? I'd say so. I think you'll live. L3/33 mortar.
Okay, you're definitely getting a star for that one. It's a mini Sturb Tiger. It has a lot of promise. It sucks in real life.
Panzer II. Alright. The resistance would probably let you live, as you basically just sold him a stopgap vehicle. When there are better, easier to obtain vehicles on the market. But would El Jefe let you live?
I mean, it was good enough for the German Reich to conquer Poland. And it was the backbone of their
This is at latest, forces. This is 1938, though.
So this was the invasion of Poland was like 1939. 39. So it's the future technology then.
Yeah. We're currently at Onchilus, I believe.
Onchilus?
Yeah. I believe Czechoslovakia was also 39, so you couldn't even use there. And they used Panzer Is during the Spanish Civil War, so I guess
you could sell it as the new and improved version of a Panzer One.
Yeah. If you saw it as new and improved version of this tank, which did in the Spanish Civil War, I think it would. Neberflotzoig rail.
For the rail, I'm gonna give you the gold star just because the Neverflotzoid itself is already worthy of the gold star.
T-35.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing for both of us.
Praying Mantis.
For the praying mantis, I feel like yeah, you definitely got a gold star for that. It's the concept is really good, and yeah, not great in practice.
Neberflotzoig king.
I think I'm cooked for the next one, though.
Covenantor.
The Covenanter?
I'm not sure I live here, I'll be honest. I think El
Ah,
Jefe may kill me.
I honestly do have to agree with that. I think El Jefe does kill you for that one, because yeah, I'm not sure driving it around is gonna really sell it,
Yeah.
and I
Speak.
think the Resistance is gonna kill me for that one, because
Yeah.
yeah, Stewart wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I mean, for example, I know the M5A1 Stewart, or maybe it was the uh, M3A1. No, it was the M3A3 Stewart. Was used a lot by the Yugoslav resistance. And we're canonically in that region. T-34 made in Elbonia.
I'll give you the gold star for that one. Early 234 prototype already got some problems with Made in Elbonia, even worse.
Alright. I'm really going back and forth if you live or the resistance kills you.
I think a case could be made for either one because it did
Like,
prove itself to be good, but it had a lot of problems and it was really behind. Like it's basically
ah,
just a Charby one. I think it's a bit outdated for the time period.
yeah. I. It's a
It's also a
stopgap
stopgap.
vehicle. If that was a Sherman 75, you would die by the
Yeah, a
resistance,
Sherman at that time would be pretty good, but
but it's not a Sherman. I think
yeah, it's
you
a
just barely
barely
don't get killed by the resistance. The Valiant.
Valiant.
I think I may have a death by El Jefe here.
I think I'm a
I
little bit.
I'm
I'm
not.
in between Liv and El Jefe because the thing is, if you do procure one, you're gonna have to get it over to Elbonia somehow, and you're probably
Crane
gonna have to drive it
truck,
at some point.
like crane put on truck.
It was like, because you would, if you had to drive it at all, basically whatsoever, then you'd probably die. But if
We'll just
not,
do it at parade speed and pray
parades.
that it works.
I think I'll let you live. I think you'll live for that one.
By the skin of my
It's close.
teeth.
Skin of your teeth, yeah, but yeah, the mouse is easy, yes.
Grill canal defense light AT.
I'm actually, I would give you a gold star, but the only issue is the cannons we put are from like World War One. By the looks of it, I saw the little wooden wheels
Interwar.
on
They're
it.
interwar.
Interwar.
They're
And what
37
period?
millimeters.
And what period was this? This is for the World War Two, right?
This is World War II.
I think I'll also give you a gold star for that one. The door knockers, I was worried they might be too bad, but I think it's good enough to pass. And then the Yak Tiger is.
Yeah.
I love the Yak Tiger though.
It
I know
is
it's not great.
absolutely
I
the
love it.
wrong tank for Elbonia.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love the Yak Tiger, but it's not for me. Like not for Elbonia. I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
A40.
For the A40, I'll give you that gold star. I think it's the exact kind of thing needed for this challenge. And the rat, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you could convince him to build it. Chaffee Katusha.
The Chaffee Katusha, I'm gonna give you the gold star. Um, Not only did you pitch it well, but I have tried the one in War Thunder in the testing ground. I know War Thunder's not the most um, accurate source, but the similar vehicle in War Thunder kind of illustrated the points that you were making. And yeah, it's just not a very effective vehicle. There's better ways to do it.
I feel like the Resistance would
Like,
let you live. I'm just would El would El Jefe kill you for the SDRV 74? Like how do you sell it to him?
you could
Because I'm
theoretically
in my
use
head I'm
the
thinking
old.
you sell it like the Covenantor, but that got me killed.
You
Except
could
this
theoretically go
except
for
this doesn't actually have the negative track record of the Covenantor, so that may work.
You also have the added benefit. It's you could use the either French or British strategy, where you have a swarm of them, because they are cheap to build and make and maintain. So you have a whole bunch of them, and you could just swarm the enemy.
T-34 100.
T-34 100, you definitely get a gold star. It looks big and strong and intimidating, but yeah.
We are still in early Cold War for the M47, and I'm questioning if it's maybe too good.
M47. It was fairly similar, I'm fairly sure, to the STR via 42. I think it was 42. They're, I feel like they're fairly similar.
In
Like, for example, the
appearance,
turret shape
yes, but that's about where it ends.
could go either way for this one.
I think the tank's too good at this point. I think the resistance kills you for that.
For the Arrow Gavin, it looks great on paper, but at the same time, it might be too ridiculous, if you know what I mean.
I also, depending on how you count it, cheated by putting something
Yeah,
that definitely doesn't fit in the time frame.
I think El Jefe gets you for that one. I think it's just too ridiculous to buy.
El Jefe kills me.
I don't think I don't think you would buy that, you know? Like I think it just looks too ridiculous for to believe it, you know?
Oh, no, didn't mean to. BMP1, live, especially if you keep the autoloader.
BMD4, yeah, you definitely got to start for that one. That was a good one.
AMX
AMX 10P.
10P. He maybe I'm not sold on El Jefe killing you
I could
because of
see
the
it either
remote
way.
turret.
The remote turret, yeah, that's a good point, but it's also
That's the
really
only
big.
thing selling it to El Jefe, because otherwise it's like this
Well, like I
is
said, the
just
remote
an
turret.
M113.
It's also supposed to be amphibious.
So is the
So,
M113.
oh, M13 is amphibious?
I maybe. Yes, it is.
Yeah, the unmanned turret, you could has the cupola, so you have the 360 vision plus the unmanned turret. But I could see it either way. Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. I don't know how to
T72
sell that one too
Ural.
bad. Yeah, you get the star for the T-72. Oh, no, not LFA.
Uh, Starship. You get to
Operation
live
Magnetic
and
Rocket.
listen to everyone's favorite band, Jefferson.
And I'm gonna give you actually. I wish I could give you 5 gold stars for. I think that was the best one on the entire slideshow. That Davy Crockett. That was
Uh,
a masterpiece. Yeah, you got
I
the
get the
extra
elusive
gold star.
double gold star for having the
Yeah,
best one a
you
year.
got the double gold star. You got the best one on the entire thing.
Sheridan, you live for the same reason as Starship.
Yeah.
Ajax.
Ajax. Yeah, you definitely got a gold star for that. It seems good, but and I know for the boom I'm gonna get the yeah, that's I don't think I can I think I made a big mistake with Huma. I think I definitely get a resistance for that.
What were you?
M47. Um,
I feel like I may die for El Jefe.
can I see the M47 one more time? Just want to see it one more time before I get my final verdict.
M47 with ERA, 2 RPG-7s, and an artillery beacon. So when it dies, artillery can be dropped on its position.
I think the beacon is the one thing I'm very much on the fence whether or not it's El Jefe or Live. Um, hmm. I'm gonna say, wow, I'm really on the fence for this one.
Yeah, I know. Oh, we've had a lot of on the fence ones.
Yeah, we've had a couple on the fence ones here. I
Especially
might
you.
say, yeah,
Because I am currently in the lead by 2.
I think just, I don't know. I think maybe El Jefe for that one. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'll
understandable. I
do
think I
that.
went with something a bit too daft. But you
Yeah.
want to know something
Well,
that's not daft?
but yeah, T14.
This is probably the
Yeah,
best one you have.
yeah, it's probably the
So
second
you'll
best of the
get the
slide.
second. So you'll get the elusive
Special gold star.
silver
Double gold star.
star
Yeah, I'll take it. Yippee!
T-34
T34
turtle.
turtle. Yeah, you'll live for that one. Definitely. Also good for propaganda use because it's, homemade.
Yeah.
Panzer One APC drone bomb. I think this is the similar problem to the um
Well, here's the
what
thing.
should we
This
call it?
is in all time periods.
That's true all the time, but it is remote control.
They've had remote control
So
since at least World War One.
yeah, since World War One. What period do you envision this in? That's what's really gonna decide it for me. Where do you see this being used? What time period?
Ukraine.
Like in Ukraine?
Modern Ukraine war.
I didn't know that the resistance is definitely not gonna kill you for that.
It's like we have
The,
combined the best of modern technology and old, hyper cheap technology to bring you
the
this blast
this
from the
like
past that will bust through any Ukraine like battleground that may appear here in Elbonia.
the only thing keeping me from getting you a gold star right now is that hypothetically, a drone, like a very common scenario, a drone could just come and blow it up.
Ah,
And I
you
feel like that
see,
might
we'll
be a
put
common
jammers
enough
in it
scenario.
and have it be wire controlled from the trailer.
In that case, I think we'll get a gold star.
By the skin of my teeth.
I don't think our teeth have any more skin after this.
Yeah. Alright, let's tally up the score.
I think you might have won by like
1,
one or
2,
two.
3, all by El Jefe. Well, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Mostly by the Resistance, but you did get an El Jefe in there with the AMX
Yeah.
10P. So, yes! Yes, I am Mr. Elbonia himself. You're a winner. It's time for a segment on this podcast we wish we could hold viewer mail time. Please send your viewer mail to the email address listed here before Season 2. This is a threat. Just like how you must like, subscribe, and hype the video. This is a threat. Like I said, this is a threat. Give us your viewer mail. This is your last warning. And that has been the episode. Any final words?
I've got nothing. That was actually really fun. We should probably do a sequel because that we made that slideshow a while ago, and since then, I think I have some better choices I could have picked. I
Yeah.
think we should probably do a part 2 for that.
I feel like next time we should do like uh some sort of we should change where Elbonia is, and I feel like we should lock ourselves to one time frame, and instead of uh doing a category, do an entire armed forces. Like
Ooh.
maybe uh we take up Elbonia, uh New Zealand's New Zealand. And we must, and we are in the pre-war period, uh, and we must survive Japan, but we're paid by Japan, so we must lose to Japan.
Right, well, I gotta head out now.
Yep, you gotta go,
Yeah.
and see you guys next time in season 2 for the premiere, The Battle of Samar.